Hi, welcome back. This is Seychelles' second video for doing the SDG budget tag. And right now we're going to go over the specific files that will be able to give us a head start on doing the SDG budget tag. In this particular video, we're going to cover what is the tagging, how to do the tagging, and do a few examples. So if you remember, the objective of this five-part video series is to compile the same chart that will give us an interactive visual on what's happening in the budget in terms of financing specific SDGs. So with that in mind, let's go over to what tagging what tagging means. I already covered what tagging means in the previous video. I mentioned that the objective is to allocate SDG targets to each expense line. In this case, let's just do a manual matching. It's always going to be manual for now. Let's do an example. Let's say you're going to have an institution A, let's say the Ministry of Finance, in sector B, which could be the equivalent of portfolio. Budget line, we're going to cover a non-administrative project that has a commitment in this example of $100 million, let's say. So what we are going to do and what the tagging actually means is to allocate as many SDG targets as you want. We're going to cover this exercise with three SDG targets, but basically a country in Seychelles can choose how many, the number of SDG targets that it prefers to have on each expense line. In this particular example, as well as the first SDG budget tag or the couple of SDG budget tags that have been done for Seychelles, also have at most three SDG targets. The idea for having three and not just one is to allow public policy projects to finance or to be associated with up to three topics of development. Usually, projects within a government are not only trying to achieve one goal, but usually it is the case that an expense line is trying to have an impact on multiple development themes. In this case, we're going to limit it to three SDG targets. So in this particular example, those 100 million, once you look at the detail that the budget has, we have decided to allocate 17.14 as the main SDG target. But also, we might say that it is also allocating certain resources to SDG target 9.1. And it could also be the case that it's also trying to impact SDG target 8.3. Remember that the SDGs or the Sustainable Development Goals are a series of 17 goals that are broken down further into 169 SDG targets. So that's important to take into account, because those 169 SDG targets are actually the ones we're going to use here to create more precision in terms of what a public project, or what an expense line is trying to achieve. So that's an example. So what we want to do through the Excel files is to allocate 75% of those resources. If it's $100 million, we want to allocate, or Seychelles rupees, we want to allocate 75 million of those 100, or 75%, to that main SDG target. In this case, is one SDG target chosen from goal 17, from the first two numbers. And we're going to allocate 75% of the resources to that particular SDG target chosen, the main one. And then we're going to split the other 25% of these 100 million Seychelles rupees equally. So that's 25 million Seychelles rupees, equally amongst the other two SDG targets chosen. right? That's the idea. And we're going to do this for around 18 portfolios, 81 ministries and agencies, departments and agencies. And in total, we're going to cover over 270 expenses in program-based budgeting format that Seychelles has, and it's actually very useful to go this to do this SDG budget tag. So at the end of the day, we're gonna do is take 270 Excel lines, and we're gonna do this similar SDG budget tag. So let me then switch over to the specific files that we're gonna cover. The first one is going to be, obviously, on one side I have the SDG targets. As you can see, this is the global indicator framework. This is the 2024 version. If you want to get the latest version, make sure that you know which is the file that you need, so you don't take or you don't download an SDG framework from another year, let's say 2019 or 2020. You don't want that. You want to use the latest SDG SDG target framework, or the indicator framework. Here we're gonna take SDG targets. They are compiled. They have been compiled. I put them by color, but basically they don't come with colors. Here you have the 17 SDGs, goal 1, goal 2, but you will have within each goal the specific SDG targets. And that will be one of the useful documents that you will have. But perhaps more relevant is going to be Seychelles budget. This is the 2024's budget estimates of revenue and expenditure for Seychelles. Here I have started with one example. Obviously, we're going to take the Department of Finance within the portfolio of Finance, National Planning and Trade to do the example of the tagging. So as you know, the budget file for Seychelles in PDF, it has information on each program. It has an overview of the strategic mandate of the entity, achievements, challenges, strategic priorities, and then you want to scroll down to the program number 1. So in this case, we have program number 1 as governance, management, and administration. At this point, it is important to recognize that the SDG budget tag that we're going to do has two different natures. Some expenses within the budget are related to administrative expenses. We can call them operating expenses, or let's call them administrative expenses. And then there are some other expenses that are not administrative and actually have sort of a policy goal. It's very easy to see this because usually administrative programs are program number 1 in each entity, ministry, or agency. So in this case, we have program number 1, which is governance, management, and administration. And the idea is to basically have an Excel file of that. So here you will see how we started putting a few columns: portfolio, ministry, MDA, mandate or priority, which is a simplified version of what it says here in the same document. We're going to have a description of the title of the program, and that's the basic information that we want to compile. At this point, given that we want to make the clear distinction, and I want you to remember this because it's going to be very important in the next steps. We're going to make a distinction between administrative expenses and non-administrative expenses. So in order to do that, we want to once you have written down, although since this is not the first time you will do it, you will already have this database. You can add a dummy variable or a 1 and 0s, a binary variable that will capture whether that expense line is administrative or non-administrative. In this case, we have once you read the purpose of the program and see what's in it, you will see that it's related to administrative. It's an administrative expense. So we're gonna in this case, we're gonna leave it to 0. Actually, let me change it. Since this is a column that we can create, we are going to try to identify whether this is a non-admin expense. So in this case, it's an program number 1 is an administrative expense. Therefore, when you try to understand if it has a policy aim, not at first sight, right? Not at first sight, because it's an administrative expense. So for now, we're going to label as an admin expense. We're going to put in the name of the program and the program purpose. So in this case, you can see here the original text says to provide support for the implementation of the Ministry of Finance. You will see here provide support for the implementation of the Ministry of Finance, National Planning and Trade. So now what we want to do is estimate, or basically just copy the total amount that has been allocated for that specific program. As you can see in the 2024's budget, the total for that particular program is 31,891. You can see it here and you can see it here. So this will confirm, or basically what you want to do is copy that to have clarity on the total amount of resources that will be tagged. Once you have that, for the case of administrative expenses, you don't want to do anything else because we're going to tag them later, right? But it's important to know that the first program is usually of an administrative nature. So we want to put the total budget for that particular program, but we don't want to do anything else. Next, we want to go to program number 2, which is in this case fiscal and budget management. We have it here. We already put the name for the ministry, the mandate for the MDA, and the name of the program, which is fiscal and budget management. In this case, once you read the purpose, in this case related to PFM frameworks, it definitely it has a more clear policy or development objective. So that's why we want to call it a non-administrative expense, and this will be relevant in a couple of minutes. Next, you want to copy basically the program purpose. This will allow you to remember without going through the budget file what the program is doing. Next, as mentioned, and similarly as we have done before, we put in the total for that particular expense. In this case, if you scroll down the program number 2 information, you will see that the total allocation for the program is 21,237, which is precisely what we have copied here, basically. So you copy that information into the Excel file, and then you're ready to do the tagging. So now we are finally ready to do the tagging. Let's get into the tagging. In this case, public financial management is a topic that is within, explicitly or implicitly, within the SDG. So we want to check out where that is. Here we have labeled it as being related to the SDG number 17. Number 17. So we're going to scroll all the way to SDG 17 in our file that we have downloaded, and it is important here to make a pause, and highlight that the SDG numbering, the way that they are that SDGs are numbered, creates a problem for us because SDG targets have numbers as well as letters. If you know anything about the SDG targets, you will see that in some cases you will see 17.10 SDG target 17.10, but then some other SDGs. Let me show you. Here is an example. We'll have 1610 and then 16A and 16B. So it's going to be difficult for us to apply formulas when you have a variable that has both numbers and letters. So that's why we have to use a different numbering system for SDG targets. So what we have done here for this particular SDG budget target, SDG budget tag, sorry, is to number, just create a new variable that has only numbers for SDG targets. So you will have 1, 2, and 3 corresponding to the first 3 SDG targets, but then all the way down, as you go down in all sustainable development goals, you will see that we will get to the 169 SDG targets. So it's going to be the first. It's important to note that we will have to create. You will have to create a new variable that that goes from 1 to 169, so that we don't have to go through letters. In this case, going back to the program, and just to close that footnote, we have a public financial management framework program. We have tentatively said that it's 163. That means that we are saying that that particular program is aiming at enhancing policy coherence for sustainable development. Sorry, it's actually the one above that one. 163, enhance global macroeconomic stability, including through policy coordination and policy coherence. That is exactly what public financial management is about. That's why we have put in here IA 163. So I want you to remember how we did it. You select, you go back to this global indicator framework for SDGs, latest version. You select based on the program purpose which SDG target, and then you allocate that as the main SDG. Sometimes, and you will see as you do this, you will select a few SDG targets. But then it will be up to you or the user or the person that does the tagging to determine which one is the main policy goal for that specific program. Here we have put 163, but we have also put 144. If we scroll up to 144, is related to SDG 16, which is related to develop effective, accountable, and transparent institutions at all levels. That is actually a very common SDG targets to allocate within the budget. So in this case, we're saying that the secondary SDG target that we want to allocate to that particular program is SDG target 144 in our own numbering system, which is basically SDG target 16.6 related to developing effective, accountable, and transparent institutions at all levels. That is the tagging that we're going to do. That is in summary what we're doing. I have shown you how to use the main file, which is the let me see, this PDF document. I've shown you how you can translate only the necessary components for the Excel file, so you have easier access instead of scrolling through the budget document. I have already simplified that for you, and then you will allocate, just to summarize, you will allocate a dummy variable or a binary variable to determine whether it's an admin or a non-admin expense. And if it's non-administrative, which is basically saying that it has a more clear policy goal, then you will definitely be able to allocate SDG targets. As mentioned, for the administrative components, we're not going to touch them for now. We're going to leave that for later because there's a specific way to treat those. So for the moment, we took 21,237 Seychelles rupees. This is actually 21 million, given that Seychelles budget comes in thousands. So this is 21 million Seychelles rupees, and we allocate that from the Ministry of Finance, program number 2, to SDG targets 163, and we also tagged it to 144. There could be another one. In this case, I'm just limiting myself to 2. But if you want the program to speak in 3 languages or SDG targets, that's also a possibility. For now, we have only allocated 2. Hopefully that's very clear. So basically, step number 1, you take the budget file. Step number 2, you translate only the necessary information to an Excel file. take into account or labeling which one is administrative and which one is not administrative. You also put the purpose, the program purpose, so you have to go back to the PDF file, and then you do the tagging by having or taking into account the file for the SDG targets. That's it. In summary, you will do the same thing for all 271 budget programs. I'll see you in the next video.